Hello, and welcome to the next episode of our Live Your Spa Life show. Spa Life is a lifestyle that accepts that accomplishment and harmony coexist. I am so excited to have our special guest today, Susan Haber. She is a manager, television packager, brand developer, and media consultant specializing in representing talent, producers, and unscripted alternative reality television and internet formats. Susan, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now you represent, I almost think I feel like I need to take a big, drink of water or a big breath of air for all the different aspects and nuances that you offer people, anywhere from, hosts to experts and personalities, on camera positions for all type of television, internet shows, including talk, game, news, dating, relationship, lifestyle, makeover, magazine, competition, reality, docuseries, and sports. Wow. How do you wear all of those different hats, and how is it that you focus, what you're looking for?
Well, the way I explain it is that what I represent is anything that's not scripted. So no sitcoms, no movies, no movies of the week, but everything else. So wherever people are being themselves on TV, or now the internet, because there's a lot of digital and everything, if someone's being themselves and they're not reading other people's words off a script, that's my area. So it's everything.
Got it.
Yeah, it's everything. So and not everything is happening always at the same time. So if there's a show that is looking for an expert doctor or attorney, there's not a show at that time that's looking for a handwriting specialist or a shrink. So it's not like all coming at the same time. And it's different than when rep actors, because then a role might come in and they'll have to send out 25 or 30 actors, and they're all sort of look the same and all that. This is like, when I need an expert here, I don't need an expert there. So it's manageable. It's definitely manageable.
Got it. So I know one of your great successes is around the Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Tell us a little bit more about how that came about and how you were able to choose your superstar.
Yeah, well, actually, I was working at Rebel Entertainment Partners, an agency, a boutique agency in LA at the time. And I'd been an agent for about 6 months. And my assistant came into me one day and said, "Have you seen that guy, Ty Pennington, on Trading Spaces on TLC?" And I was like, "Yeah, but let me go home and look a little closer." And I did. And I came back the next day and I said to her, "Let's find him. He's adorable." So, it wasn't any big thing. I just thought, "Oh, he's cute. We should just definitely go after him." So we found him in Atlanta. We did some sleuthing, and we found him in Atlanta. And I called him and I said, "Hi, I'm an agent in LA, and I'd love to represent you." And interestingly enough, he was just starting to build some popularity on Trading Spaces. And he said, "I'm coming out to LA to meet a bunch of agents." He said, "I'm going to meet with William Morris and CAA and ICM, Endeavor, UTA." And he met with all of them, and he met with me. And he wound up signing with me because he knew he would get lost at those big agencies. And he knew I would give him care and attention. And I was really, really into it and really excited about the business and everything. So the first thing we did was he wanted to write a home improvement book. So I took him to New York, and we met with 12 publishers in 2 days, and we wound up having a bidding war, and we wound up signing with Hyperion. And he wrote his home improvement book. It wound up hitting the New York Times bestseller list. And I remember the first time that he had a book fair was in LA at the convention center downtown, and there were like 2,000 women lined up around the corner.
Wow.
Waiting to really just get a look at him or get his autograph on their book. It was unbelievable. So that's how it started. And then, Ty really wanted to do a bigger version of Trading Spaces, is how it came about. So I took him around to meet the community of production companies. So I took him to many, there are about 250, 300 production companies that make all the TV that's on TV in the unscripted world, which is right now about, I would say 70% of what's on TV, maybe 65, 70%. So I took him to meet all the production companies, and we wound up doing a deal with a company called Endemol, which was one of the biggest and still is companies. And we developed shows. So the first show that Ty hosted, it's kind of funny, I don't usually tell this, but was a show called Exhausted. And it had nothing to do with home improvement. It was a competition show where people stayed up, you know, as long as they could. So like 24 hours. And then they had to do physical challenges against each other to see who the winner was. Like drive a car around a track and everything, you know, after no sleep. It was crazy and it was boring. It didn't work. So that was the first one, and that didn't happen. Endemol produced it, but it just didn't wind up getting picked up. And then we finally got them to listen to us to do a home improvement show. And so we developed this baby. We just, you know, discussed it and creatively and everything, and we pulled it together. And it wasn't easy in the beginning because we really did do a makeover in 7 days. And you probably remember they were huge makeovers, but we did it. And it was a huge hit. We sold it to ABC. We did a pilot, and then we sold it to ABC. And then Sears was sponsoring the deal. So they put in about $1 million an episode also. And ABC put in money, and lots of sponsors put in money. And it was a huge hit. And he was just on his way. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So, you know, I know that, you know, there's like so many different ideas out there, and, you know, it's hard to say like what's going to actually, you know, catch on either with, you know, the people that you're pitching to or the audiences. Do you find that you tend to have a lot of the ideas that are brought to television, or do people come with you with the ideas? What's kind of the mix or percentage of how that works?
Yeah, it works both ways. And I'm not sure really what the percentage would be. I mean, I would say usually people come to me with ideas. Although you know, we say these days that, you know, an unscripted show is really about the talent, the person. So a person of interest, you know, somebody at the top of their game in something, in any kind of expert, judge, lawyer, shrink, hypnotist, designer, carpenter, news person, sports, whatever. But if, you know, if they're really good at what they do and they have this idea, or, you know, they or they want to be on TV, they just want to be on TV and they're great at what they do. There's space for everybody these days because there's so many networks. There's just, you know, tons of networks with different subjects and genres and everything. So so a lot of times they come to me, but then there are times where I look for people everywhere, like on the mall, you know, in the mall, on the elevator. I mean, like wherever I am, I'm always looking for somebody that's interesting that might be great on TV. So I might see a shop or hear about a business, or, you know, meet somebody at a party who has a family that's interesting. I mean, it's just like open. It's really, really open. And I'm open to that too. So it happens from both, all kinds of angles, all kinds of ways.
Right. Well, you know, and you have such a vast, you know, different of diversity in the people that you've represented. I mean, anywhere from Mario Lopez to, you know, Chaz Bono to YouTube star, you know, Grace Ruth Randolph. And so, you know, those are such different people. And, you know, as you come across the different people that you represent, like you mentioned, as far as like the personality of them, you know, especially some of these have already been like known people. So is it a new angle for them? Are they trying to reinvent themselves? Like, what is it that you bring to them that really shifts them into the next level of who they're being?
Right. I mean, I think that, you know, one of the things that I found that I do well is just to have that sort of good instincts about who would be interesting to watch on TV. So a YouTube star may come to me and they, you know, they're doing their YouTube and they're on their little computer, and they have no idea what to do to get on TV. So they may come to me, and what I do, at the risk of sounding like, sometimes I think it sounds a little snotty, but really is like I'm a gatekeeper in a way, because I know the whole community of TV people that make TV, and those people that come to me have no idea. And those people that make TV look to me to vet those people. And when I come to my television people and I put my seal of approval on a person, they trust that I'm not going to waste their time. That when I'm bringing them somebody, when I'm asking for a meeting, it's because I know that this person will be very interesting to them. So that, you know, that's kind of how it works. And, you know, I'm kind of like everybody's mommy in a way. I love nurturing my talent. And, you know, I've had my own company for 11 years, and I opened my own company for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons was that I could represent who I wanted. I didn't have to do it by committee as I had to do it when I was in an agency. And I really could follow my instincts, you know, 100%. And it's really paid off. I get to actually be friends with my clients. So we spend time together. We talk a lot together. I encourage them to, you know, to really shoot for the, you know, for the best. And it's just a great relationship I have with my clients. And I love that.
Yeah. Well, you know, speaking of friends, one of our mutual friends with Sandra Yancey, who's now just recently been featured on The Doctors, you know, we know her in eWomen Network, and she touches so many people and has so much, you know, amazing wisdom. And, you know, it's so fun to see, you know, the transformation of her now being on major network and things happening around that. How is it that now that you've, you know, got her connected with the shows and that, as far as, how is it, are you like the cheerleader and the agent and the person behind the scenes that help continue to move that forward?
Well, you know, it's just like Sandra coaches us and all of her wonderful women in business. I can coach, and Sandra's such a smart woman, and Kim both are smart, very smart people. And you and I know we all need to do what we do best, and then let other people do what they do best, do that for us. So Sandra is like amazing at business. I could never really, you know, be as good as she is and understand everything. And I'm good at TV, so she knows that she asks questions or whatever. She looks to me to tell her where we should go now and next and this and that and how it all works. So because it's not, TV is not logical. It's really, it's not. And, you know, if you're a seller in the world, you know, and Sandra's in business, you tend to want to sell. So TV's not like selling, because it's all about sort of, you know, if a person is right for a show, they're right for a show. And if they're not, they're not. There's, you know, there's no, it's funny. I've been in a few meetings where I represented producers, and in the room we were pitching a network, one in particular I'll never forget. And then after about 20 minutes, the network said, you know, we don't think this is for us. It's just not the right format. And then that producer then spent the next, you know, 15 minutes trying to talk them into it, that it was right for them. And I wanted to kick him, but we didn't have a table in front of us, because once they say no, they say no. It's just not right for them. And there's no rhyme or reason. Right. It just isn't. So there's a lot of creative instincts and all that.
So is it kind of dead in the water when it is that for that one person, or is it one of those that it's just not right for that particular agency and there's still other options? Or is it kind of like when one says no, they're kind of all in this similar genre?
Well, I mean, TV is right place, right time. You know, the casting director or the producer liked the color jacket you were wearing that day. The casting director, the producer, the network executive, you know, I went to a great party the night before and got too drunk. I mean, like, you just have no idea what it is exactly. And sometimes they don't even know. It's right. You know, so, and no, it's not dead in the water. because so many things can happen. It can, you know, an executive can leave, another one comes in with a new mandate, or, you know, it just wasn't the right time, but now it is the right time. You know, Sandra and I have been working. Sandra and I have been friends for many years. I just got the feeling about a year ago that it was the right time for her.
Right. Well, and I feel like that's part of what you bring to the table. I mean, because you've been in the industry for so long and seen so many things, and just knowing which one to go to and what things to bring forward. I mean, there's some very specific things that, you know, not only in the relationships that you have, but in who someone's being and how they show up for these type of things. Because like you said, it's a totally different animal as far as how they would show up for something like this versus anything else they've done before.
Yes, it's a whole, exactly. It's a whole different animal. And, you know, and people don't get it. And so they kind of have to put their trust in me. And sometimes it's hard for some and not for others, you know, but they do, because, you know, the tendency is when we're selling is to push. And, and that's not how it works in TV. It's more like, wait, you know, we push a little and then we hang back, and it's very, gotta sort of feel it in the zeitgeist, like it's the right time. So there's a lot. There's a lot.
Right. Well, you know, now with your own agency, you have a lot more flexibility and, like you said, going with your gut and not having to really look to other people to get their buy-in on things. But how was it in the beginning for you when you were with one of the top 5, you know, talent agencies in the world with ICM? And I mean, you helped represent people like Katie Couric and Larry King, Jay Leno, Suze Orman, Connie Chung. I mean, some of the big names that we all know in television. What did that work lend for you as far as foundationally, as far as like what you learned and what you brought to your own business?
Right. Well, most of those 3 years, I kept my mouth shut and listened. Okay, because that was the key. And we got to listen. I don't know if this is known, but when you work at a big agency, you get to listen to every conversation, both sides of it, on mute. And
a fly on the wall.
We are a fly on the wall, and it's great for the agent because they don't have to fill us in afterwards. We already know everything. You know, I don't know if it's exactly, you know, a cool thing to do, but it's what we do. I think everybody knows that they're being listened to. So I listened for 3 years. I kept my mouth shut and listened, and I read every contract, you know, from top to bottom. I really, really studied the business. I think the instinct part, that was probably in me already, but I needed to know. But I learned things like, you know, sending an email with one wrong letter, one word spelled wrong, or once I spelled the name of an agent wrong. I think I left off a letter, and I was like slammed by them. I mean, every little detail was very important. Wow. So I learned a lot from that. I really did. And it's not always a kind business, and, you know, so, but I have to say, I learned from everything. And when I was addressing Christmas card envelopes for my boss and wanted to just kill myself, I didn't know it at the time, but I was learning all the players. I was learning everybody that was important in the business. And later on, that helped me tremendously. So, you know, I always tell my daughter, who's, you know, I've always told her this, actually she's 29 now, but that nothing is a waste. Like, nothing you ever do is a waste. I remember she took a college class once and she said, darn, I wish I wouldn't have taken that class. It was such a waste of my time. And I said, no, you will use it at some point in your life. So yeah.
Right. You know, I love that because I think sometimes people forget that. I mean, a lot of times I don't always share with people that, you know, I was on the police department and I worked undercover, and it's like, well, how do you go from that to SpaLife and, you know, hosting a show and doing, you know, the organizing that you do? I mean, it seems such totally different things, but really it's not. There's an essence that I bring to that I brought to law enforcement, that I brought to my clients. And you're right. When you pay attention to all of those little details, it really allows you to see, you know, how you can help people on a much deeper level. So that's a great lesson to give to to your daughter and that you employ yourself, because especially when you're working for the big agency and you're doing what sometimes can feel like a lot of just the minutia and when am I going to get to do the big work or get my big break? But really in embracing all of those lessons along the way, that's really what led to, you having the longevity that you've had in the business.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. Really great.
So you went then from there to the boutique agency to the Rebel Entertainment Partners. How was that different, coming into something a little bit more smaller? How was that environment different than the big agency?
Well, I was very, very lucky. So when I was at ICM, one of the agents came up to me and said, I hear that this man owns this agency is looking for an agent. Do you want me to throw your resume into the hat? And I didn't really have a resume, but I said, sure. And I faked a resume and sent it over, and I got to meet him, and he and I hit it off, and he offered me this job. I replaced a woman who left to go to a .com company. It was in the early 2000s, I think. Yeah. And he was so busy. He had been trying to do my job. She had been gone for like 4 months. He was trying to do my job and his job and everything. And he was so busy that I remember the night before I started going, do I know what I'm doing? Like, I've seen it done, but I haven't done it myself. And that day I walked in on that Monday morning, and he handed me an office and an assistant and 50 clients and a credit card and said, go for it.
Wow.
And so
there's a lot of trust.
Yeah, a lot of trust, ton of trust. And literally for 2 years, he didn't bug me. He didn't say anything. He never said, like, what's going on? What you got going? Nothing. He let me fly. And for 2 years, I took out the entire community and met everybody and became friends with everybody on his dime. And I had a lot of success. I found what I love to do from the second I sat in that chair. It was just perfect for me. And my first big success was Ty Pennington in that story I told you. But the clients he gave me, they were working clients. They were on TV. They were hosts on game shows and dating shows and everything. So I walked into like a growing business and just grew it more. So it was wonderful.
You were able to enjoy 6 years with, the Rebel Entertainment Partners. What had you transition into going into your own talent management company with Haber Entertainment?
I loved being at the agency and I learned a lot, but it was sort of representation by committee. So one in particular talent that I thought was extremely talented, who later on, was on TV and all that, I brought into the agency, and my agency didn't like that person and said, no, we don't want to represent them. And I was very, very frustrated because it was always by committee, so I couldn't represent who I wanted to represent merely because I wanted to represent them. And so I just decided to go out and have a more independent business where I could, kind of, maybe I'm a little bit of a control freak or whatever, but it worked out where I could really follow my feelings and my instincts. And it was very, very scary because I thought, part of me thought, they're never going to find me. Nobody's going to call. I'm going to, be out on my own. What I found out, which was really, really cool, is that the buyers, the executives at the networks and the cable outlets and the syndication arms and the production companies and the studios, they applauded me going out and doing this on my own. And they sent me clients and they hired my clients and they wanted it to work to this day. And it's now been 11 years. I have felt totally supported by the TV community. It's been really, really a wonderful experience. Really great.
That is so great to be able to, what an acknowledgement of, the ground that you've covered and where you are today, and that you have that recognition from the big corporations, and that your clients get to have the rewards of that as well. In fact, I love one of the things that you say as far as pushing people up. So I love that about you and what you do and in your industry. So one of the things we talk about SpaLife is about having a high level accomplishment, having it with harmony. And you definitely have the accomplishment. And, every time I see you, you're like, pushing somebody, to go to the next level. What are some of the things that you do to bring more balance to your life?
Well, I have fun. I love my work. It's really fun. But I'm a sailor. I love being on the ocean. And so I sail and I race and I belong to a yacht club and I have a lot of friends and we just have a really fun time. So I knew I could not do, well, the first 3 years in business, I was all business. I didn't do anything but business. And I needed to really push it. But then I knew as time went on and I started feeling more confident that I had to get a life of my own, a social life. So I have that. And I think that's, the biggest thing. I have some great friends and, so I think that's what, makes the good balance. Yeah. Love to travel. I travel a lot for fun. I also, I guess I incorporate business and fun together. So my life is always, kind of an interwoven mixture of both.
I love that. I love doing that as well. I mean, I think that when you love what you do, it comes through and you get to have a little bit of all of that. I find it ironic that, you have a very public business and you're very social, but you don't partake in social media. Tell me a little bit about that.
Because we don't advertise. I mean, it's a funny thing. I'm talking with you right now, but I don't do this very often. But I don't want, this sounds terrible. I don't want people to find me, You can imagine, like, the whole world wants to be on TV. It's overwhelming, right? Yeah. So if someone does find me, they really cared, really, And I always say, when I wind up working with somebody, if you are not as excited about this as I am, or way more, actually, you need to be really excited about TV. It's not easy to get into, and it takes a lot of effort and desire and passion. And so, if you're not more excited than I am, and I get into it, like if I take somebody on, I'm with them for life. I mean, I just really, believe in them. Yeah. And so for that, I guess you have to, none of the agencies or management companies, nobody advertises. It's kind of like, I guess basically that's it. There's just, if we did, we'd be overwhelmed.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have any last parting words for our listeners who have that burning desire to get into the business, and what would you recommend to them?
Well, really, in any way, whether it's, on camera is like the greatest. First of all, let me just say that on camera is, if you get on TV and you have a show, it changes your life forever. And it is the most fun and exciting thing. Even you asked me about my lifestyle and everything. This business has made me a beautiful lifestyle, because it's TV. When my clients are working, they're doing some fun show somewhere, and so it's TV, so it's fun. TV is very, very fun, and TV is entertainment, and entertainment is fun and entertaining. Okay, so the other good thing about TV and digital also, now we got the Netflix and all that, is that really anybody can get on it if they have something that people want to watch. It's anyone. I mean, nobody is left out because of any reason. If somebody is interested and they have a business, company, career, expertise in any way, shape, or form, it's possible for them to get on TV. So that's really cool, because it doesn't rule out anybody.
Right. Even my granddaughter wants to have a YouTube channel, and my daughter's like, what?
That's so smart. Well, She should. That is such a great thing to do these days, for people that want to get known, want to build a fan base. That
Right.
is the way to go.
All right, I'll tell her.
Oh, tell her. Tell her mommy.
Get on it.
They can't find her, but I mean, that's the only way to go to really get known. Not the only way, but that's one of the greatest ways to get known
Right.
these days is YouTube. It's fabulous. It's
Got
such it's a great thing. Yeah. So my advice is to people is, if you think you got something, and whatever it is, it doesn't matter, because there's Science Channel and there's, Animal Planet, and there are tons of different networks. Do it. I mean, go for it, because it is possible. Without a doubt, and I'm not being flowery, I'm being really sincere. It is possible for anybody to get on TV with the right personality, the right goods, but whatever it is they want to do. So that's really cool. I think it's fabulous.
Well, I love that. Well, one of the questions I always ask my guests is because, your environment is everything, and, you get to travel the world and you get to see a lot of behind the scenes. But when you look at your own home environment, we have a different experience of how we feel in the bedroom versus the kitchen versus the family room. What is your favorite room in your home and why?
Oh, without question, my bed. I could work from my bed. If I could do it, I'd do it. I love the bedroom. I love, scents and diffusers and the right lighting. And I have a kind of frilly girly bedroom, and I'm very, very happy there. It's nice. It looks good. It smells good. It's pretty colors of paint, and it's, and I have a high bed, so I'm like the queen. It's really fun. I would say the bedroom is my favorite place, and then the second place that's my favorite place after that is the kitchen, because I love to cook and I love to eat. So those are my two places.
Oh, I love it. Well, so good. Well, you and I could talk all afternoon here.
Totally.
Now, if our listeners want to connect with you, how can they do that?
They actually, email would be awesome. I read every single email. So it's, Susan Haber at haberentertainment.com.
Fabulous. Well, thank you, Susan, for being here with us and letting us see a behind the scene of all the great work that you do and helping people, fulfill their dreams. So thank you for being with us.
It's my pleasure. Great to be on. Great to talk to you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, listeners, thank you for joining us here. And if you're wondering, this conversation we're having around SpaLife, around having accomplishment, but also having harmony, you can also take the Life Reset Quiz. So you can go to liferesetquiz.com and find out, where are you with that? What are you accomplishing in? What do you need support in? And that is a quick quiz that you can check in with yourself with that. And as always, live your SpaLife. Bye for now.